Welcome to Real Life Mentoring, where we explore real life issues to help you make an authentic difference in the world.
Hello, everyone. It's Chris and Christina again with the Real Life Mentoring Podcast. I want to tell you, it is a privilege that we get to do this. We love working with people. We love doing mentor training. And so we really, and I say love, we love doing this to give people tools and stories and insights into effective mentoring. So guess what we're going to talk about today? We're going to share some mentoring stories with you. These are real life stories. We didn't make these up.
Real life people.
Real life people. It's a privilege to hear these stories of people growing and developing, walking through challenges, discovering new things about themselves, having a hope for the future. And so here we go. Let's take it away.
As you may or may not know, in 2014, we started Fahrenheit Real Life Mentoring, which is a registered nonprofit. Here was our goal. We wanted to walk alongside people, listening, encouraging, helping them discover the power of authentic relationships through one-on-one mentoring. And so over the years, we've seen something really incredible happen. What we've seen, you and I have seen that. We've seen other people who are mentoring do this. When one life is transformed, it doesn't stop there. Chris, you affectionately call that the ripple effect, right?
Yes.
But we see families strengthened. We actually see communities begin to change. And mentoring matters because it just doesn't shape the present. It actually shapes generations. We've seen that in our own lives, right? And so we thought, what a powerful time to just share some mentoring stories of us personally, people who've been impacted by mentoring. Chris, when I think about mentoring stories, I think about our dear Hans Georg. Tell the audience about him, how you met him, and fast forward then to what the relationship looks like now. I just think this is such a super powerful story, not to give up on people, to be persistent. Sometimes you may not see what we affectionately said, the ripple effect, and for years down the road. But fill us in on Hans Georg. Tell us this story.
It's a privilege to talk about our good friend, and he is like a son as well, Hans Georg. He's from Austria, and we met Hans Georg in 2006, the fall.
A long time ago.
So we're recording this in 2025, so it's been 19 years ago. I actually thought about him the other day and thinking about how long it's been, almost 2 decades. We hosted him as an international student here in Oklahoma. Fast forward a few years later, we ended up living in Austria.
Yeah.
But God just has connected us at a heart level, and it began with good conversations. We would talk about any and everything, and then we moved to Austria. We had the privilege to get to know Hans Georg even better, get to know who was his fiance at the time, now his wife of many years.
His parents.
Sisters. We got to spend weekends at his parents' home. I just want to encourage you guys, if God puts someone in your life to mentor, it's not just for them. You really can be blessed and encouraged and strengthened in so many ways as well. So one of the privileges I have in Hans Georg's life is he trusts me so much. And he's told me this, and he's proven it over the years with me. But he'll call me when he needs to make a really important decision. And I don't take that lightly. It is a privilege to be able to do that. So today, Hans Georg he's married, has 3 children. He works in business. But I tell you what, one of the most important things that I've seen in his life, Hans Georg has come to know the Lord personally. And I know it's impacting his family, his workplace, his friendships, and just internally, it's changed him. And so many, he was a wonderful man to begin with anyway. There's many things I could say about Hans Georg.
Right. And I just think you're being really modest here, but you were super intentional to pour into him as a young man going to university as an exchange student. It's developed into a real beautiful friendship between 2 men, but now he, a father, a husband, a leader in his family. He has grown, and I just think the relationship there, when I think of this ripple effect, when I think of affecting one life for generations to come, his kids will be different because of the effort, the intentionality, the authentic joy of being involved in his life. His kids are going to experience because you took the time 19 years ago. So I just think that's a great story to kick off this time. I'm going to read a few quotes and then we'll pause and interject. This is from a female woman. When I think about my mentor and what she's meant to me, I think about how she's always been there. So often I have felt overlooked and mistreated. My mentor has always been a safe place where I have felt loved, valued, wanted, and respected. That's from a mentee. I just think that's a beautiful statement. Here's a statement from a couple who received mentorship from another married couple. Mentoring is such an important thing in this life, and I'm grateful to Fahrenheit Mentoring for pouring into us as individuals and as a couple. It not only impacts our lives in a positive way, but it greatly affects our children's lives as well. We are forever grateful.
And I'd like to say as well, it doesn't mean we've mentored all these people.
No.
Other people have.
Right.
But we know some of these stories.
Right.
And I will tell you, this married couple, as many of you have gone through some very difficult life situations. So as a mentor, as we've shared before, it's a privilege, it's a responsibility, it's very difficult sometimes. But when you get on the other side of these challenges and difficulties, people want to give up or they're stressed out, and you've stayed the journey, you've kept the journey with these people. It is such a privilege.
These stories so beautifully illustrate how pouring into one or pouring into a couple, there is a ripple effect. Mentoring does have the power to change generations. I mean,
I'd like to share. You have a quote here from Hans Georg that we spoke about earlier.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes, Hans Georg says this, and it blesses me. I would say that mentoring has helped me in 3 ways. He says it helped me to build honest relationships, to be authentic, and to know that I am a valuable person, independent of achieving my goals.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Here's a comment. I can hear the voice of my mentor in the background asking me, are you believing any lies in this situation? I just love that as a mentor, you get the privilege of reminding someone who they are. Again, we take a biblical approach, a holistic approach, and we're always going to infuse God's word as the truth and as truth to be upheld, especially when somebody's struggling, right? And so that's just a humorous story of a young woman. Yeah.
There's a young man. I say young man because I'm much older than some of these guys.
Yeah.
But Kevin, it was one of these guys who would sit in the back of church and not talk a whole lot, not connect a whole lot. This young man has become truly a leader, not only in his church, but more importantly in his family. When I think about him, I think about truly a strong man who's assertive, who's intentional, who's not going to allow difficulties, worries, challenges. They will battle him, but they're not going to defeat him anymore. So I want to read a quote from Kevin.
Yeah.
My mentor has carefully unraveled my past to help me see why I am who I am right now. I've seen this young man actually lead even his parents in some ways, which is such a gift to see.
Yeah. Again, the ripple effect. I'm going to read a quote here by a young woman. She says, in response to her mentor, I will take any time you have to give me. Isn't that beautiful? It's so simple. I think back to my days as a young mom and juggling, responsibility of parent-teacher conferences and potty training and all those things. And you all have heard me spoke quite frequently about Marty, my best friend, my mentor. And when she was available, oh my word, I would take it freely and graciously. Yeah, just to be really, really personal, her influence on me directly affected my role, my performance, if you will, as a mom. She has shaped generations.
Christina, in the last few months, there's been a mother of a young man who's reached out to us. So there's a fellow mentor, Mark. We worked together in some situations, and he brought me into this relationship with this mother and her young son. Would you mind reading that?
Yeah.
You see that at the bottom there?
Right.
This is an email from a mother who was desperate, who was stressed about her son's future.
Right. After our conversation, I could see such a visible change in my son, like a load had been lifted off. He told me, it felt so good to finally talk to someone who understands exactly what I'm going through. I feel like a weight is lifted off me. His mood was lighter, and I saw glimpses of joy that I hadn't seen in a while. It was such a gift to witness and a testament of the connection you both made with him and how powerfully God is working through you both. Thank you for reaching out, checking on him. This has been incredibly difficult, and I know the enemy has been fighting hard for his mind, but I also know that God is greater, and he's clearly been at work, especially through the connection with you all. This feels like a miracle. Have you ever considered that if you you being a mentor, you just showing up, could actually be the miracle somebody else has prayed for. It was for me.
Well, I want to also clarify on this last story you just read. I've never met this young man in person or his mother. This has been done through phone calls and through Zoom over the computer. And so a life-changing mentoring, because the questions, the conversations, when they're real, when they're authentic, they impact people. It doesn't matter in what venue.
I want to read something from a young teacher. It's a little bit long, but just so well worth listening to. Mentorship has had a positive impact on my life. It's having someone who can speak biblical truth over you and remind you of your identity in Christ. They can help you through your struggles. Having someone who really truly cares about your struggles will reach out to you in hard times and will help you through any issue and struggle, small or big. It's having someone you can pray with, who's always there, and has even helped me in my workplace. As a teacher working at a private Christian school, Christian mentorship is highly valued. So by my mentor pouring into me, I can pour into my students and positively impact them as well. Again, the ripple effect, right? That affecting one to affect generations. Why share these stories? We want you to get a clear picture of the power of intentional one-on-one mentorship. What we often don't talk about, but it's what we experience all the time, is when you take the time to mentor one-on-one. And if that person is a believer in Jesus Christ, that naturally leads into discipleship. What does that mean? Strengthening them on their journey with Jesus to really affect change for generations to come. That's why we do what we do. Any other story you wanted to share?
There's a young man who I mentored years ago, and he's sitting across from me at this coffee shop, and he looked like, I knew he was struggling. And he just looked really discouraged that day. And he said, Chris, I just want to thank you for mentoring me. He goes, I know I have a lot of problems. And I knew that I needed to correct something in his thinking at that moment. And I said, I want you to understand, Marcus, I don't mentor you because you have problems. We all have problems. I mentor you because God says you have incredible value. That young man impacted my life deeply. Here's a quote from him from a while back. At the heart of mentoring is a caring relationship that provides the space and security to open up and share what's really going on. Mentoring gave me a great friend. There are many different aspects of the mentoring relationships which have impacted my life, but all these are manifested, nurtured, shaped, and strengthened by the intentional relationship that mentoring provides.
Yeah, so why do we share these? Well, we're a mentoring podcast, obviously, right? But I think our tendency is to listen to stories like that and be inspired, or to be envious, like, gee, I want that in my life. But what we would encourage you to do is, if you have any interest whatsoever in becoming a mentor, do it. Gain resources. Contact us, because the value of being intentional, of pouring your life into somebody else, to investing in them, and then watching their life develop and affect true change in those around them, whether they're single and whatever their community they're in, or if they're married and have children. The benefits of watching this unfold are just incredible. They're just incredible. We want to inspire you to go be a mentor.
And as a nonprofit, that's what we care about. That's what we focus on. I want you to think about this before we close this episode. What is your life really about at the end of the day? I really believe it's about relationships. I believe it's about a relationship with God, and we believe that is through Jesus Christ. He offers His Holy Spirit to us, and it's about relationship with people that we meet, our families, our friends, coworkers. Everything on this earth, you think about it, a career is a wonderful thing, and we can mentor people in their careers. A house and things are enjoyable to have. All of these things will begin to dissipate over time, and they won't matter at some point. But relationships, they carry on and on for generations. They make a difference.
We often use this illustration. I just think it's a beautiful illustration to close this time together with you. Francis Chan, if you just Google Francis Chan, tiny end of the rope, he uses this illustration where he holds a rope that's 100 feet, or I don't know. It's a very, very long rope, and it's all white. At the end, like the last centimeter of this rope is painted red. He said, imagine this whole rope is eternity. The red part, that's your life on the planet. Make it count. That's why we are so passionate about mentoring. That little bit, that centimeter, I want my life to count. I want to be intentional about the things that God has entrusted to me. I give them to other people so they can give them to others. A life well lived, in my opinion. Any closing thoughts?
One last thought. We do these, we put on these mentoring workshops to give people tools and stories and examples and some experience. There was a pastor recently who attended one of our workshops, and he came to me after the event and said, Chris, I know mentoring is important, but what this material, what you guys have said today and taught me, has helped me to realize this. I can do this with my friends. It means take the time to develop your own relationships with people that you already have. Ask them good questions. Listen well. He said, this is really about deep friendships that impact people's lives.
Well, as always, this has been beneficial to you. If you've got something, you've been inspired, like, subscribe, pass it along to a friend. To keep up quality content like this, if you'd like to donate to the Real Life Mentoring Podcast, please feel free to do that. It's easy. Go to FahrenheitMentoring.org. There's a podcast tab. Click on it, and they'd be happy to receive a donation of any kind. So as always, you have plenty of choices. Thank you for listening to Real Life Mentoring Podcast.